So I went to load yesterday, last night, Monday night, and found that after I got loaded, of course, found that this brake pad had came off the shoe. So anyway, so I tore it down last night, and I'm going to show you guys kind of how this goes back together the best I can, and then also like this is what I wanted to show you. Like this is what I carry in my truck. All these tools, you know, I try to carry all this stuff with me. Carry you know, impact that the wall impacts like $400. Some Makita guns, a few $100. All this stuff. And so how I know what to carry is just every time I work on something, on this trailer or on the truck, if I use a tool, then that tool goes in this bag. So, you know, it's probably a 100-pound bag. I don't know how much all those tools are worth, but most of them are just like, you know, Harbor Freight tools or whatever. But you have stuff like this, you know, this huge socket right here, this 2 1/4 socket that works for the axle nut, and the socket for the wheel. For the lug nuts is a 29 millimeter. So you know, if you're on the road, you're not gonna be able to find that at like a truck stop. You know, so you got to carry that stuff. Anyway, I'm gonna start cleaning up the wheel bearings to go back in and clean up the hub, clean up the axle there, and I'll show you a little bit of that, and then we'll start putting it back together. I gotta go to Ace, which I already did, but and get new brake. You got to buy the whole thing. You can't just buy the pads. But anyway, I'll show you guys as we go here. So I have this little bucket. I just put a little gas in there. Gas is cheaper than brake cleaner. I have brake cleaner for the final cleanup, but I just kind of work that through there. My spindle nuts. And then I just kind of let that soak. And then for the brake, I don't know what you call it, the hub, I guess, or the drum, sorry. This in here is the seal. This seal goes against here. Anyway, you have to pop that out of there, and it can be harder, it can be easy. People try to save them. I just buy new ones. I don't want to be on the side of the road for a leak, you know, a wheel seal leak. So I'm trying to hold the camera and do this at the same time. Sorry. I need to get like a stand or something. Anyway, it just pops out like that. So that seals out. And then you have another bearing, and you have down in there, you have this down in here. This is a race the bearing sits on. Then there's another race on the other side that the other bearing goes on, and then they ride on the spindle, of course. So we're gonna get this one soaking. Probably gonna add a little more gas. So I'll add the gas. I'm gonna clean up those bearings, clean all this grease out of here, and then I'll get everything all clean. Also clean that spindle, and then I'll get back with you guys and show you how I pack the bearings and a little bit of assembly. Okay, so we got everything cleaned up. We got the bearings pretty clean. We got the inside the hub clean, and we got the spindle down there clean. So now I'll show you. I packed the grease. If you've never used one of these grease packers, it is worth it. So basically, you just set your bearing down in there. Might be a little hard to do today because it's cold out and my barn's not heated, so this grease is cold, but shove this down. It's pretty satisfying if it works today. Yeah, it's cold. Oh, yeah, let me heat this up. I'll put on the heater for a second, hang on. So I didn't have to heat it, but I had to really force it. So you can see how the grease pushes through that bearing. You know, like, I don't carry this with me, so if I was on the road, obviously I'd do it the old way and do it in the palm of my hand, but that makes it a lot easier. So I'll pull this out, and you can see it's fully packed. So I'll rub that around it, and then I'll also rub it on this race inside there, and I'll put a little extra, not a lot. It don't take a lot inside there. It doesn't help to pack it full or nothing like that. So I'm gonna pack these bearings, and we'll put the wheel seal back in, which I'll just use that roll of duct tape as like a spacer. I'll show you that. Hang on. So I got the bearing down in there. I have a thin layer of grease along that edge, and then as long as that's greased, you don't really have to grease the seal, but we could maybe do this number. Just get a little grease on it. It goes this way, not that way. So set it in there. Try to get it as straight as you can. And then I have, you can use whatever, but I'm gonna use this today, duct tape. And then you want to try to tap it down. Figure out how to get two hands here. You want to try to tap it down as even as you can. Well, you guys get the idea. It's hard to do this holding the camera here, phone, whatever. Anyway, I'll tap that in. I'll show you what I got. So tapped in, it'll be just, you'll have just a lip like that all the way around. And then we'll flip this over and we'll grease the other side. And then we'll grease the spindle. I can show you that, I guess. We'll grease the spindle over here. So you just want to, I just do the whole thing lightly. I always start with wearing gloves, but about 2 minutes in, I say, never mind. It's just easier. Bare handing it. So anyway, we'll get it all greased up like that, and then I'll get the bearing, or I'll get the hub down there. Slide that on. I'm gonna try to set up this phone so you can watch me struggle. So as some of you probably noticed, I forgot to put the brake on. So I went to put that on and I had got the wrong one. So I'm currently headed back to Ace Hardware to see if I can get the right one. And if they don't have it, I'm gonna have to go to Elkhart to a place called Absolute Fabrication and see if they have it. Hopefully Ace does, because I don't feel like driving around all day looking for parts. I need to be on the road to Minnesota so I can deliver tomorrow. So that being said, I'm going to maybe rush the rest of this video a little bit so that I can get back on the road, but I'll show you guys as much as I can. So when you need trailer parts, this is the place to go. Ace is the place. Anyway, they have what they call the truck store in there. I'm going to show you guys a little bit of what they have. But yeah, this is in Middlebury, Indiana. It's the best place to go if you need your stuff right away. I go. Okay, so Ace didn't have it, but they sent a guy to go get one, and it only took them like 10 minutes. So we got it, and it takes 7 bolts. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we have one more here. I always put a little bit of. So hard to hold this. Anyway, I always put a little bit of anti-seize. Sorry guys, I'm trying to hurry here. Anti-seize on each bolt. It don't take a lot. Anyway, shove it through there. There's a lock washer and a nut goes on the other side. It's a 18 millimeter wrench on the back, and then 16 on the front. And I just hit it with an impact real quick. So I'm gonna get this last bolt in, and then I also put anti-seize on the brake adjuster here because these lock up on you. So like twice a year I pull all these apart, like in the spring and fall, and I will polish the spindles with steel wool, make sure these are loose, and put new bearings and all that. So if you're wondering why I'm not doing new bearings today, it's because within the next month I'm going to be taking all of them apart. There's 4 wheels on this trailer, so I'll take them all apart and do everything detailed. For today I'm just trying to get back on the road. So I'm going to get this nut on the back, and then I will grab the hub, stuff that on here, and then I'll show you putting the wheel bearing on the front and tightening it down and all that. So I got the hub pressed on there. I got the wheel bearing all greased up. I did put some grease inside that race there. And again, it doesn't take like a ton of grease. Like I see guys like really cramming the grease in there. You don't have to do all that. It's really just, you know, the bearings are the only things that need grease, and the bearings and those races. So yeah, anyway, so got the grease in. The other parts I have right here. So you have this like a thrust washer, goes on first, then a nut, and this nut is what you're going to set your wheel bearing with. So this is the one that's going to hold it tight. There's actually 2 nuts, but this one is the one we're gonna, you know, spin the wheel and all that. So let me clean my hands, and we'll get that set, and I'll show you how to set it. Okay, so I have this huge socket, 2 1/4, and I'll just kind of snug it by hand, spin it, snug it, spin it, snug it, and then a lot of times I'll loosen it, turn it, tighten it, and then we'll really tighten her down quite a bit while I'm spinning it, of course. And you can feel it get tighter, you know. And then I'll break it loose, spin it again, and then I'll just snug it. It doesn't have to be crazy tight. And then the next piece that goes on is this, and this is what locks your nut. So this will go on this way like this, that, and then you have one more nut. Make sure there's no dirt on there. You know, it's got to be clean. It's your bearings. spin that on, and then you can jam these two together. Pretty tight here, not crazy, but jam those together. And then what you're going to do is bend those prongs inside there. Have a hammer here. These prongs, you want a couple going backwards to the nut in the back, and then you want a couple going forward to hold the one up on the front here. Hammer's a little overkill, but again, I'm just trying to hurry. I gotta get on the road. So there's one. It just takes two. You don't have to bend them all. It's a waste of time. Plus, you know, if you're maintaining your stuff right, you can take this apart a couple times a year. So you'll see if something's going bad or whatever. So that's on. Now, you have a center cap to put on here. This is plastic. Don't put this on until you have the wheel on. The next thing we're going to do is the brake line. So I'll show you guys that. So the brake line going on to the back, you want it to end up in the facing back position. That way you can get to your bleeder, because that's the next thing we're going to do is bleed it. The brake line is a 10 millimeter, and the bleeder is a 5/16. So I'm going to tighten this up, and then we're going to work on bleeding it. You don't want to over tighten it. This is a, you know, it's like everything's kind of delicate for as big of a trailer it is, but you don't want to strip that out. It'd be a bad day. Okay, so that's tight. Now we're going to work on bleeding it. Give me just a second. So to bleed it, I have my ratchet set up with the 5/16. I'm going to put it on the bleeder back here. I want to start out with it tight and ready to be loosened. Okay, that's now what I'm going to do. I'm going to go up here and I'm going to pull the breakaway switch here. What that's going to do is engage my brakes. You can hear it going already. So it's actually already locked it up. Sorry. Well, we're going to go ahead and bleed it anyway. And it's just shooting out. So we know there's no air. It's ready to rip. And it's already, sometimes you got to adjust the brakes in here. Adjust that adjuster, but it don't look like I'm going to have to do that today. Anyway, I'm going to plug that breakaway back in. Okay, it's plugged back in. So we're going to go see if the wheel will spin, which it does. So we're good. We don't have to adjust it today, which is awesome. Okay, so I'm going to get the wheel back on. I'm going to get that center plastic piece back on, pick up the tools, and get on the road. We're going to go to Minnesota. It's like 670 miles or something. Okay, wheels on. I put a little anti-seize on all the bolts there, and then this center cap. These things are delicate. Like I've broke a couple. It is, if you don't put your wheel on first, you try to get your wheel on, you'll crack that. And then I got this tool, which was from Ace. It's expensive, but it just makes life easy. I've done it with a big crescent or whatever, but it's just, you can over tighten it easily or just break them easy. It's just plastic. So I'll get all the lug nuts on here and get it tightened down, get it off of my jack, and pick up all my tools. We'll be ready to go. And I'm gonna go over kind of why I own a trailer instead of lease and that kind of stuff, and kind of what it costs to do this stuff. Anyway, once I get on the road, I'm gonna give you a little clip on that stuff. So anyway, the old one, what happened is that the brake just literally fell off inside of there, and that's happened to me before on a different wheel. So anyway, I'm gonna get on the road here. So everything's done. I just jumped through the shower real quick, grabbed my clothes, ready to hit it. Truck's running already. I left this toolbox open to remind me that I gotta add brake fluid. We pumped quite a bit out on the ground, and I don't have any here at home, so we're gonna have to go buy some. Anyway, yeah, I keep air compressor, just a cheapo, and actually a nice generator in the back of my truck, because you never know what you're gonna need. Throw my bag back here, and we're gonna jump in and take off here. We're all ready to go. We got tire pressure's decent, fuel's full, almost 315,000 miles. Anyway, I'm gonna switch this camera around and I'll talk to you guys about the trailer, lease, and whatnot. So finally on the road to Minnesota. Got my shop, did the brake fluid, and we're all logged in, ready to go. So I wanted to talk about, like doing repairs and stuff. Some people will say, why don't you just lease a trailer? It's easier. You don't have to maintenance it, buy tires, buy brakes, that kind of stuff. But those people are paying $850 to some places. I think they're like $1,400 a month to rent or lease a trailer, and that's just crazy. It's like what, $10,000 to $16,000 a year or something. You can buy a good used trailer for, depends on what you want, but somewhere between 10 and 20 grand. So, a year or two, it's paid for. I bought mine new. I bought it before I even started RV transport, because I knew that's what I wanted to do, and I just bit the bullet and did it. I saved up for a few years in preparation of switching to RV transport, and then bought the trailer, put a down payment on the truck. I owe on the truck, but I didn't want to owe on the trailer too, because I know there are slow times for some companies, and during those slow times they still charge you for your trailer. So you could get yourself into a bind like that. Anyway, so with that being said, yeah, I had to come out of pocket and buy the trailer, buy a used one, whatever you want to do. Just make sure you go through it, make sure everything's good before you get on the road. And as far as maintenance for my trailer, like every spring and fall, I go through it and check all the welds, which I have a welder. I can weld steel or aluminum, and I just go through and fix everything. I try to clean up any rust spots I can. I need to get better at that, but and then I do new wheel bearings and like polish the spindle with steel wool, and just go through everything. I take my time and just make sure everything is good, because if you're out on the road, something breaks, you pretty much, you can't get the parts, you know. And that's another reason I have all those tools, and I carry some extra parts, you know, little parts I can. You know, and all that stuff isn't cheap, but at the same time, you know, one tow bill, you know, could be a couple grand, and if you can save that one tow bill, you know, and be able to, you know, fix something, get yourself back on the road the same day, or, you know, within minutes, if you know, sometimes it's just a part you have or a tool you need, and you can get yourself back going. You're not going to find all that stuff at truck stops every time, like the big sockets and, you know, all that kind of stuff. You're not going to find it. So, you know, it's important to be able to maintain your own stuff. It helps you know what you have. It gives you the confidence when you're going, you know, 1,500 miles from home or whatever, to know that either you can fix it while you're out there, or, you know, it's going to get you back home. You know, some places are pretty desolate, I guess. There's nothing around, you know. So, with that being said, it's my brakes. I've had to replace 2 brake assemblies like that. The first one basically did the same thing. The pad came off. Now, that trailer in this truck basically have the same miles. Like, this truck has 315,000 miles. So the trailer has, on a conservative side, like 250,000 miles on it. And now 2 of the brakes have been replaced, but 2 of them are still original. So 2 sets, that I think it's the back 2, are original, and they have 250,000 miles on them. So, you know, it's not that expensive to maintain that. You know, it was like $300 today, but that's nothing compared to, you know, $800, $900 or $1,000 a month or whatever to lease. And the same thing with tires. The tires are lasting between 80 and 100,000 miles per tire, and they're not all wearing out at the same time either, fortunately, because it's like basically $350 a tire. So, which I just did one a couple weeks ago. I don't know if I put that in the video or not, but so, you know, like, that's the main things, is the tires and the brakes. The, like, you know, the welding the cracks, that kind of stuff. That's, you know, that's just your time. And the other thing about owning your own trailer is, you know, if you can fix it, you can do it right now. You know, you can do it today. I did it this morning, so that I can get on the road and not waste time sitting around waiting for some shop guy to, you know, drink his coffee and eat his donuts in the morning. And maybe you're not even first on the list. You could be scheduled out a few days or whatever. You know, you burn up a week really fast sitting there waiting for somebody else to do something, and you're just losing money. So it's important to, you know, be able to get your hands dirty, get in there and do it. And if you haven't, just get in there and figure it out. You know, it's not that hard. And that's kind of why I make these videos, just so people can see, like, you know, you can do it. It's just, are you willing? And but yeah, I think that's basically it for this video. I just wanted to post something a little different. I know that the footage was pretty shaky, but I wanted something different than just, you know, here I am picking up campers, here I am dropping them off, here's cars going back. You know, like, I wanted you guys to see what kind of has to go on in the background. You know, I don't always have to do that kind of maintenance stuff, but I do do something. It seems like every weekend, you know, a little something to keep it maintained. But if you made it this far, I appreciate you sticking through the shaky video at the beginning. Hopefully you were able to learn something from it. And subscribe, like the video, share, and I'll try to get some footage dropping these off